this video, we're going to have a look at two components of the IELTS listening and IELTS speaking test and give you some tips on how to get your best score possible. Let's look at the listening test first. The listening test lasts for 30 minutes, but there's a further 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. So the total length is 40 minutes. The test is divided into 4 sections, each containing 10 questions. These sections gradually become more difficult. Section 1 is a simple conversation between two speakers trying to make an arrangement such as a holiday or conference booking. Section 2 is a single speaker giving information about an event or a particular place of general interest. Section 3 is a discussion between 2 to 4 people, such as a seminar or radio interview. And Section 4 is a single speaker giving an academic-style lecture or presentation. It's important to remember that IELTS is a global test, so all the recordings will feature people speaking natural English in a variety of accents from around the world. Great care is taken to make sure that every person in the recordings speaks clearly so that the test takers can understand every accent. Perhaps the main problem encountered by test takers is knowing what to listen for. Here's a secret. It's not necessary to focus hard on everything you hear. If a test taker tries to do this, it's easy to get lost, so it's better to concentrate only on the parts of the recording containing the information needed to answer a question successfully. One of the most important skills to help in this is called listening for a particular reason. To make sure we understand a question, we underline its key words and then predict what we need to listen for. This gives us a reason to listen by prompting us to focus only on what we need to listen for, rather than paying equal attention to every word. Let's take a look at this example question, where two mountaineers, John Graham and Mike Davis, are being questioned by a radio interviewer about their recent successful climb of Mount Annapurna in the Philippines. The example question is, complete the summary below. Write no more than 2 words and/or a number for each answer. John and Mike reached the summit of Annapurna at 3:45 in the afternoon in bright sunshine and sub-zero temperatures, but they were too blank following their success to pay much attention to the weather conditions. Let's listen to the interview.
So, John, can you remember how you felt the moment you reached the summit?
Well, just before we got there, Mike had been complaining that we'd never make it before dark and we should turn back to camp. But we carried on and, sure enough, about 30 minutes later, we found ourselves standing at the summit in full sun and icy air. But all we felt was overjoyed that we'd made it to the top.
So, in this example, you only need to find information about how the climbers felt after reaching the summit. Everything else can be ignored. So, using prediction, we can be reasonably sure we are looking for words which describe extreme happiness. And this gives us the word we're looking for, overjoyed. So you see, with this one simple tip, you're prepping your brain and ears to latch onto the most important words for the question and improving your score. If you're looking for more listening practice, try listening to English language radio or podcasts so you can get used to hearing different kinds of speech. The IELTS speaking interview is a face-to-face conversation between a test taker and an examiner which lasts from 11 to 14 minutes. This means that you're using English with a real person, not a computer, so it's much more natural. The interview has 3 parts. In part 1, lasting 4 to 5 minutes, the examiner first checks name and ID before moving on to ask questions about everyday topics such as education, accommodation, food, travel, etc. This part of the interview is designed to put test takers at ease by asking questions they'll already be used to answering. Part 2, lasting 3 to 4 minutes, the candidate is given a card containing a topic and a number of prompts, usually in the form of what, where, or why type questions. They are also given a pencil and paper to make notes from the prompts during 1 minute's preparation time. The test taker then has to talk for 2 minutes without interruption. And part 3, lasting 4 to 5 minutes, has a connection to the topic of part 2, but this is extended in the form of a natural, two-way conversation between the examiner and the test taker. Each of the 3 parts pose their own problems for test takers. In part 1, for example, feeling initially nervous can prevent fluent speech. In part 2, the ability to keep going could be a problem. And in part 3, not understanding the examiner's question might cause confusion. Of all the problems in the IELTS speaking interview, fear of freezing or not knowing what to say next is common to all parts of the test. With that in mind, let's have a look at some useful tips to overcome this difficulty. Let's suppose that in part 2 of the speaking test, you are giving the following topic. Describe a work of art you like. A test taker could talk about where it is, when they first saw it, what they understand about it, why they like it. 3 main problems could occur with a topic like this. The test taker might only have a general or very little interest in works of art. They might assume that work of art refers only to paintings, a subject they don't know much about, or they might simply not be able to remember a work of art they admire. Freezing can occur in all these cases. One way of dealing with not having much to say about a topic like this is to speak about it from another person's point of view, perhaps a friend or a family member who likes a particular work of art. When doing this, first, be honest with the examiner by saying something like, "Actually, I don't have much interest in works of art, but I know my sister loves Michelangelo," and then go on to describe something that she admires. A second way of dealing with this problem is to talk about it from a negative point of view by explaining why you don't have much interest in works of art. The examiner is not interested in your personal opinion, only how well ideas are expressed. Finally, talking about something related to the topic, such as a film or a book about an artist, actor, or musician will help, as these are all connected in some way to works of art. The speaking test is your chance to show off your English skills, and armed with these tips, you'll do brilliantly. So there you have it, tips that'll help you improve your IELTS speaking and listening score. Try putting these tips into practice every day and visit takeielts.org/prepare to find more prep material for your IELTS test.